Would anybody even want Jude Bellingham? I mean, come on, seriously, is that still a thing? This is Forever United TV. I'm Adam. And of course, we're giving you all the latest Manchester United news that are leading up to this weekend when we do play football again. It's a weird world around Manchester United at the moment. There are serious stories and then there are some crazy stories. I'm going to talk about the Jude Bellingham link, but more importantly, on top of that, Dalot's future at Manchester United. With more reports of fullbacks being linked to Manchester United, what does the future hold for our Portuguese long-serving fullback? Now, Real Madrid have been linked with Dalot. I'm going to bring you that whole story and what's happening in and around that area of the transfer window for Manchester United coming up. Yes, the transfer window is a little bit away yet, but deals, like I've said before, get talked about and get organised for the March and April time, ready to go for a World Cup transfer window, don't forget. So any deal that can get done possibly early and in them June months is going to happen and is being negotiated now. So it's going to be interesting to see what stories start to come out over the next couple of months with this. There are some wacky and some wonderful ones. Romano put to bed the McAllister story last night. Thank God for that. Like I said yesterday, there's no chance of that. Now we've got Jude Bellingham being linked with Manchester United and United looking to bring him in. If Jurgen Klopp is announced as the Real Madrid manager, honestly, it's crazy, crazy talk, that. But the realistic stuff is, I think right now, players that are at Manchester United, this is where we need to be concentrating our most in terms of what's happening now. Because, like I've said before, the window is going to be determined where we finish in the league and what United do this season. By the way, next season, I want to talk about this as well on the show this morning. 7 Manchester United players out of contract after next season. So we get money this summer. What's happening shows you how much work needs to be done at Manchester United and how much needs to be sorted. And we're not even talking about the likes of Maguire and Casemiro here. We're talking another 7 players on top of them that have got 1 year left on their contracts at the end of this season and then can start negotiating in the next January window with other clubs to leave for free. Do United cash in? Do United give contracts? We'll go through all 7 of them players in the show this morning as well. Also going to talk about Manchester United's goalkeeping situation and the future of Radek Vitek is being spoken about also in the news and in some stories today. A very interesting story on that one and what Man United do this summer with that. I'll bring you all the updates on that as well. And of course, all of your interactions and everything that you're thinking right now regarding Manchester United, get into the live comment section if you're live with us right now. Don't forget, pop a like on the video. I'll be absolutely delighted if you did. If you're enjoying the content, that's all that I want. So please pop your likes on there and get into the comment section, please, everybody. Let's get into what is happening then. The Jude Bellingham story, we'll push that aside because it is what it is and it is a story. We'll talk about it in a moment, but I want to concentrate on Diogo Dalot. That being the more interesting story, I feel, this morning anyway. You may have seen online and stories from Bild, from Germany, about Manchester United looking at the Norwegian fullback who's playing at Dortmund, namely Julian Reierson. He is 28 and is a target for Manchester United, apparently. He's still got a couple of years left on his contract. And again, I don't see this being realistic. I'm just going to quash or give any realism to any of these rumours and transfers going into this transfer window coming up right now. The future of Dalot is definitely going to be discussed at Manchester United this summer. We've already brought you the reports of what Jason Wilcox is pondering from that story that came out last week regarding Dalot and his future. Do we cash in now on Diogo Dalot or do we use him as a squad player? I've said it many times before and have been very clear on my thoughts on Dalot. I don't rate him as a first-team regular at Manchester United. As a squad player, I don't mind. I think he's good enough to be a squad player at Man United. I think that's the level of player we need to have in our squad. Not a starter. Someone better needs to be in there. And I would always put Mazraoui ahead of him every single day of the week, especially playing a back four. You all know that. And I think many people agree. Although Dalot has played well under Michael Carrick, I still do remember the poor performances. And we got glimpses of it against West Ham. Do United cash in now? Do we take that money? Obviously, there is a situation developing at Real Madrid that involves Dalot. And look, you can put 2 and 2 together, try and make something of the Bellingham story. If he wants to come to Manchester United, Dalot goes the other way, takes a bit off the transfer fee. You could always run that story if you wanted to. But I just look at Bellingham as it being unrealistic in every single sense of the words. Dalot is real, though. Dalot is definitely a transfer situation developing at Manchester United, because I think when you look at what we could get for Dalot, and then you look at what you could then invest that money into, could you get better? I mean, I don't think fullbacks come cheap now. You're not going to pick out the Patrick Dorgus of this world every single transfer window. And Dorgu had a shaky start. But now he's seen as more of a winger anyway. He's not even a fullback anymore. But you know what I'm saying? You're not going to pick up 14 million Mazraouis every transfer window. It's just not there. And to get about 25 million, which is about what Dalot's worth, I just don't know if that money is going to be able to be invested back into an adequate fullback coming in the other way. Now, if you are confident in your academy players coming through, with Mazraoui being the #1 fullback, I could see where you were going with that. You can invest that 25 million elsewhere into Man United's midfield or attack and use it that way and bring in the fullbacks that we've got in our academy. Look, it's doable, I know that, but again, I would rather have 2 players for every position, like every club that's competing in the Champions League and the Premier League, or has aspirations of competing, let's just say. Look at Arsenal and their squad, look at City, and look at Chelsea, the amount of players that these teams have got compared to Manchester United's squad right now. We're quite low down when it comes to numbers. We have got a few players, we have got a decent enough squad, but again, you sell one player and it's taken away the focus from where needs to be investment, which is the midfield. And again, I'd rather keep Dalot than replace him. I'd rather have him as a backup, is what I'm saying right now, going into this window. I'm not desperate to get rid of Dalot this window. I just don't want him starting every single game. That's the thing. I think Mazraoui is an all-round better fullback. And Dalot's game has gone up because it's now a back 4. Ruben's gone. And obviously Michael Carrick has benched Dalot before. So all of a sudden, it does go to show what Ruben Amorim was getting out of these players wasn't enough. And there was too much comfort factor in there. Now Carrick's come in, we've seen performances go up so much. And it's not just because he's put an arm around them. I think Carrick's making it clear to these players that they are under threat and their position in Manchester United's squad is going to be questioned and brought up within discussions with the hierarchy come this summer transfer window. Because United need investment. And if you don't get Champions League football, your place at Manchester United could be under threat because we need to sell players to then bring in other players in. And Dalot's on that list for me. He is. If we get Champions League, Dalot's going nowhere. I'm convinced of that again. I don't think he is. And I'm happy for him to stay as a backup fullback. And I think that's where his position in the team will be. Overall, Dalot will play a few good games for Manchester United, but we've seen it for nearly 8 years now of inconsistencies. And that's where Manchester United need to double down in terms of their efforts coming into the summer transfer window. They need to be a little bit more brutal and they need to be a bit more cutthroat when it comes to certain players. And if Dalot and his contract, which I think runs out in 28, Dalot's, so he's got a couple more years left yet after this season, I think his position will be discussed the summer after, I feel anyway. I wouldn't cash in right now because I don't think it's enough to reinvest in another fullback. We need to concentrate on midfield, and Dalot right now is just cover in a position that we don't want to be thinking about. I'm happy with Mazraoui and Dalot at right back. I am. I don't think we need necessarily another right back in. Left back, yeah, I think we need a left back. I don't think we need to touch the right. And that's just me looking at it. And honestly, I do think that the money that it could get people interested in thinking, yeah, Dalot can go, you've got to bring in another player to replace him. And I honestly don't think the academy players are quite there for next season yet. And if it's going to be Champions League, Dalot has to stay. He has to, whether you like him or not and you rate him or not. As backup and maybe coming on off the bench at times to rest players, I think he's adequate. I think he's good enough for that. And I think it will take his game to the next level, having major competition. Because I think Mazraoui will be United's right back next season. And I think that Dalot will have to try and force his way into United. But with more games and better opportunities of that happening, I think he'll be still happy anyway. I don't think he wants to move away from United. I think he loves it at Manchester United. And I don't think the money's enough to really tempt Manchester United into selling him on. You could talk about cashing in, but 25 million... it's good value for Dalot, but we're not in a position really to be letting him go, is probably what I'm trying to say here with this one. So, no, let's leave Dalot alone and let's look at other areas of the pitch, I think. Look, don't get me wrong, if someone comes in with 40 million for him, then you snatch their hands off and you say, wow, thank you very much. But that's not going to happen, is it? We know it's not going to happen. Not unless Real Madrid get crazy. And then you would obviously bring in the Jude Bellingham story. Man United need a midfielder. They need a hybrid type of midfielder. Jude Bellingham is supposedly one of the best. I don't rate Jude Bellingham. I'm going to say this right now. I don't. I think he's overrated. And I don't want him at Manchester United. That ship sailed a long time ago. And the ego and look, I don't want to sound like I'm having a go at the lad. I think he's a great player. But if you're asking me who my number 10 was, come the World Cup for England, he's about 4th on my list. He is. And I just don't think the hype around him is worth it. I really don't. I mean, honestly, on his day, he can take any team apart. But I just feel like Manchester United need to move away from that type of player. The story about Jurgen Klopp being a manager and him wanting to move to Manchester United has been, I kind of think it's been fabricated and think made up a little bit. Look, United have always had an interest in Jude Bellingham. We've always wanted him. And Man United are always in the reckoning when it comes to big players coming into the football club. And we always have to be there when they become available. I just don't think he's going to be available. And like I said, I don't think Madrid are going to offer us enough for Dalot to even think about using that as a make weight to bring Bellingham in. He's the right age, he's the right profile. He is used to English football. I don't think he'd have a problem in the Premier League at all. I just think he belongs somewhere like Real Madrid now. And like I said a moment ago, I don't want to have a go at him and his attitude and things like this. But it's just personally for me, taking nothing away from the quality of the player, I would rather have Morgan Rogers. I'd rather have Bruno Fernandes. I'd rather have Cole Palmer. Some people would even argue the fact that players like Eze and Phil Foden are probably a better option for England. Look, I just don't get it anymore with him. I think he's fallen off a little bit. And I think the carnage and the chaos which Real Madrid is has definitely taken something away from Jude Bellingham. And I don't think he's number 1. I don't think he likes it, by the way. But look, this is the type of player I don't want. It cost a fortune in terms of transfer fee. It cost a fortune in terms of wages as well. Probably the highest earning player at Manchester United in the history of the football club, next to Cristiano Ronaldo, probably, if he came to the club. Do we want to go down that road? If he wants to come to Manchester United, a deal could obviously be talked about, but I don't think it's realistic. Again, it's about as realistic as United signing Alexis McAllister. I look at the targets we've got, and then I think concentrate on that. Just to bring up the point on this, though, and obviously I put him in the thumbnail. I know that the story is a bit crazy and it's out there, but the value of Jude Bellingham compared to the proven Premier League players is something that also needs to be spoken about, because if you're getting Jude Bellingham for 100 and something million and Brighton are quoting 100 million for Carlos Baleba, what does that tell you about the value that's in the Premier League right now and where we need to be careful? Are there better options than paying over the top for the proven players? Just a little caveat to the argument that we've all been making about buying proven players because they have worked for United. Like Mbeumo, like Cunha so far. That has worked for us big time this season. But there is a different side to it. And it's not always a one-way street. You're not always going to get the guarantees. Let's get into the conversation on Dalot. Let's talk, if you want to, about Bellingham. Honestly, he's on there and it is a story, but I don't really truly believe in it. I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't. And that sounds crazy, doesn't it? It really does. Am I the only one thinking that, by the way? I know it's a hot take and it's not something he expects people to say, because Jude Bellingham is a quality player. I wouldn't take him. Just wouldn't. Dalot, I would probably keep as well. I can't believe I'm saying these things. Start of the season, if someone said to me, Adam, you're going to be talking come February this season about keeping Dalot as a squad player going into a Champions League season the following season, because that's what we're competing for now, and saying no to Bellingham over other players that are in the Premier League right now that haven't played as much or as well known, I said you were absolutely mental. And I would never say that, but it just goes to show what a season does and how a season proves to you that it's not always as black and white as what it seems. And getting that type of player isn't always going to fix a problem. I do think that that is the case for Jude Bellingham. And I think he belongs where he is now. I'm happy that Manchester United have moved away from that type of player. We need to bring in the right player for us right now. Galacticos are not the way for Manchester United, I don't think. I just feel like Jude Bellingham has got a big opinion of himself. Just my opinion alone, I know. And look, everyone's got their own thoughts on it. I just wouldn't go there. I don't think it's the right type of signing for United. By the way, in terms of the midfield area, just touching on this as well, we spoke yesterday about Hayden Hackney on the show, and lots of people are reporting this online now about Carrick being in charge of United next season. Hackney well and truly on Manchester United's list. This is real. It is serious. United would go for Hackney in the summer. So keep an eye on that one. We did talk about that yesterday. There's a few more people bringing up the similar story this morning as well, especially online and on X and things like that. You can see it starting to gather a little bit of momentum. So keep an eye on that one. Is that the type of player that we should be going for? Could say that's where Jude Bellingham came from. Championship to the big leagues and smashed it. Is Hackney going to do the same thing? It's a big claim to make, that, isn't it? It is. I'd 1,000% rather have Palmer than Bellingham. Yep. If I'm going to spend an absolute fortune, I'm not spending it on Jude Bellingham. Definitely not. Lots of people I can see in the chats already saying exactly the same thing. Jude will never keep up with the pace of the Prem and the Champions League. He'll absolutely never do it, says Greg. Interesting. I think Mazraoui is a good central defender rather than a right back. Everyone's got their hot takes on this. Everyone has. And look, again, if I had a fully fit Mazraoui, if I had a fully fit Dalot, I'd pick Mazraoui as a right back. If you're talking wing backs, Mazraoui gets taken out of the conversation. I think he's a better defender than Dalot. I do. And that's why I personally would pick Mazraoui. And this obviously comes in and people can talk about, let's just say, Mazraoui's had a few injury problems. Dalot is always fit. He's always available. And that's gold for a manager. And that's what you need. You need availability. That's the most expensive currency, isn't it? It's availability. And Dalot has got that in his locker. He's reliable. He's always there. He's professional. He's a top pro. It's just his qualities at times brought into question. And if there was someone to match Dalot's fitness, then Dalot doesn't play. But Dalot is always there and always available. And no matter of my opinion of him and his qualities and how much I have admittedly slagged him off this season, I won't hide away from that. I can't because it's all recorded and you can all pull me on it anyway later. But Mazraoui is a better defender. And if you're paying 4 at the back, I'd rather have the more defensive-minded player. Now, Dalot as a wing-back, I've got the edge on Mazraoui. I'm going to be honest, he has. Because he is more forward-thinking. Mazraoui sort of nosebleeds it when he gets further up the pitch. But I like him. I like his professionalism. I think he has got a football IQ. Larger, very much the bigger one than Dalot anyway. So that's where I would go. If Mazraoui's fit and Mazraoui's available, then Mazraoui plays for me. I do think that he is a cracking fullback. And I, with Dalot, would still like him in the squad behind him. It's the best option, I think. And it's the best of both. Let's just say that. Let's get some more comments on everything there. We're talking about early doors, everyone. Please get in. Adam, you're well aware how much I think Bellingham is overrated. Basically, he can play a 10 as an 8 or as a 6 defensively. He's not aware enough, therefore a liability. These are the problems with hybrid players. You get moved around. It's like, for instance, Jude Bellingham. Graham's just highlighted it there. Jude Bellingham, play him in a few different positions. And you know what I'm like with that. And that's probably why a big part of me doesn't like Jude Bellingham, because I do like him. I think he's a fantastic player. I just don't want him in my team. That's all I'm saying. Look, I think he could win things for England. I think he can be a massive impact on England's World Cup. He's an absolute baller. He is. But if I'm going to pick a number 10, I'm going to pick Bruno ahead of him. I'm going to pick Morgan Rogers ahead of him. I'm going to pick Cole Palmer ahead of him. And there are many, many others that you could go for. I just think overall he gets moved around because he is that good a player. But in the Premier League, I think for Manchester United, it doesn't fit. I don't think Jude Bellingham. In other clubs, it might work. It might work. But I'd rather have a master of one than a jack of all trades type of player. I've always been like that, and I'm just old school like that. That's why I picked Mazraoui at right back. I don't like hybrids. I know he plays best at right back. If we were picking a position for him, it would be right back, and I think that would where he'd play the best. Jude Bellingham probably plays best as a 10 because he hasn't got them defensive commitments within his game then to worry about. But then I do think there are better 10s in the Premier League than Jude Bellingham right now. Just my opinion. I think there are 3 or 4 better than him in the Premier League playing right now. So that's why I wouldn't want him. And I wouldn't go and put money on a player that you could maybe put in midfield as an 8 for us. I'd rather have Kobbie Mainoo as an 8 than Jude Bellingham because Kobbie Mainoo's going to cost us nothing. I'm not saying Jude Bellingham's worse than Kobbie. Everyone knows my opinion of Kobbie so far. I've obviously accepted my opinion on him and he's proving me wrong now, which I'm really happy about. But I have to be realistic with where United are right now. Kobbie Mainoo would cost United nothing. I'd rather keep Kobbie Mainoo in my squad than have a Bellingham type of player come in. No thank you, is all I'm saying. Give me a number 6, an absolute classic number 6. And then I can look at other positions then. But we need that player first and foremost. Priority number 1. And that's the position I don't think Jude Bellingham would ever fit in. In the Premier League, definitely not. In terms of the other links as well, Ryerson from Dortmund, just on the Dalot situation again there, for anyone asking, it's come from Bild, which is obviously the German publication, so it's been driven by them. He doesn't fit Manchester United's profile of player. I don't know why he's been linked to us at all. And we've got 2 better right-backs, I think, already. So why is that even a story? So, yeah, Ryerson, that's a no. I can confidently say that. Because he's 28 and he's still got 2 years left in his contract. Why would Man United spend money on a 28-year-old? It doesn't work in the Ineos model, and he isn't as good as what we've got. You could argue, yeah, he could be, but how much more are you going to get spending money on a player that you've basically already got? It makes no sense unless you're selling Dalot and bringing him in. Sorry, I would rather have Dalot. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to put him down, but Ryerson, I think he's just been made available maybe by Dortmund, and Bild have just made a story out of this. And I'm not going to take it seriously. I think it's unrealistic. I don't think Man United would go for a player like that, especially when we've got the ones that we've got. So no, on that, just to add that little bit more detail, still got a big contract. United would have to pay for him, and he's 28 now. Can you see Ineos doing that? I know what you're thinking, and it's a straightforward no. More comments. Let's get into this. Wayne says, but I'm not spending that on Palmer either, Adam. He's injury prone. I'd rather keep Bruno. No, that wasn't my point, mate, and you're dead right. I'm not saying that we buy Palmer. I'm saying if we had to choose out of Palmer and Bellingham, and we had to spend big money on one, I would spend it on Palmer over Bellingham every single day of the week. And I know Palmer's injury record isn't fantastic. I'm going to be honest, Jude Bellingham isn't much better. He's always had problems. So, yeah, give me Cole Palmer over Jude Bellingham any day. I'd take Morgan Rogers probably over both of them right now. I think he's just a rounded player. And I think, honestly, there's something with Morgan Rogers and his attitude, his strength, his presence, and his football IQ. It just attracts me to him more. And I love Cole Palmer. I think he's fantastic. Honestly, you're splitting hairs. But between Morgan Rogers and Cole Palmer, not Jude Bellingham. And there's the difference. And Bruno, for me, beats Rogers and Palmer. So, yeah, we've already got Bruno. We've already got Mainoo. Why the hell would you even think about bringing in Jude Bellingham anyway? It's senseless. There's nothing in it at all. There's nothing that shouts out that's something that United should be doing. I agree with you, Adam, about Jude Bellingham. I don't rate him as highly as most either. Not only that attitude issues that can be seen on the pitch, he looks like a team problem. It's that, I don't know what it is with players that go to Real Madrid. I still get shivers with Mbappe and what he was doing with Alonso and that incident we all seen on camera. And just don't like the whole vibe around Real Madrid. Call me like old school Man United, like the Galactico days. Like under Zidane, that wouldn't have happened. I'm sorry, like the Galactico days of what Real Madrid were all about, that's not Real Madrid anymore for me. It's changed that football club. And I think there is a real player power issue beyond anything that we've ever seen at Real Madrid. I really do. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And the players there at the moment, honestly, would I take any of them players at Man United? Right now, who would I take from Real Madrid? They've all caused problems and kicked up stinks that I can read and look at. Look, I love Valverde. I think he's always been an absolute baller of a player. I like Camavinga as a player. I love him too. I mean, he's a decent player as well. And yeah, that's where I'm at with them. Sounds crazy, doesn't it, considering where we're at right now as a football club. But I would rather be looking at the players that we are looking at and being linked with as well, rather than Real Madrid players. Jude is a box-to-box 8. Jude, Mainu and Anderson will be devastating. Mainu and Jude can rotate between 8 and 10 roll. Again, I get what you're saying there. And look, I'm not taking anything away from the qualities of Jude Bellingham. I don't want to. But I just don't think he's the right fit for Manchester United. I really don't think that is where we're going. People would say, Adam, you'd rather have Hayden Hackney than Jude Bellingham. In a weird way, kind of would for the money and what we can bring in alongside Hayden Hackney right now. I think Hackney and another quality midfielder at Man United is a better option than going out and spending over 100 million on Jude Bellingham. Sorry for talking sense, but that's where I'm at right now, and that's where my Man United head is at. I don't think Jude Bellingham's the answer for Man United. And I think it's going back down the Cristiano Ronaldo road. I really do. Look, no, in fact, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. But that would be where I would look at. I want Man United to develop and build from within, and obviously bring in the right type of younger players like we are doing, with the little splash of ready-made experienced players, pretty much like last summer. If you gave me 3 Prem proven players and 3 players from overseas, like we did with the 4 that we brought in last summer, so in theory, buying players that are coming into the first team and first team lineup are expected to play, a mixture of Premier League proven and some up and coming, like Sesko and Lamens and Mbeumo and Cunha. Give me 3 Prem proven players, give me 3 other players from Europe or around the world that we've scouted and recruited properly. That's a good transfer window for Manchester United. That's what I expect to see coming into the summer anyway. Right, moving on. I want to talk about the contract situation. Listen to this. So going after this season, Manchester United have big decisions to make. So what I want you to do is get into the comments section. By the way, we have got a poll running right now. Have Dalot's recent performances convinced you to want to keep him at United? 71% of you in that vote have said no. You're not allowing 5 games to convince you. People would automatically argue, Adam, but you're banging on about Michael Carrick's 5 games, though, and that being enough. Difference is Dalot's been doing it for 8 years inconsistently. Carrick's come in and he's still unbeaten in the Premier League. He hasn't been beaten as a manager in the Premier League yet. And that's 8 games going back to his first stint in 2021. Look, he is going to lose games, of course he is, but still, I look at what else is available in the Carrick argument, and going off the guys that have taken themselves out of the picture, I think Carrick is the better option that's left. Moving on, get into the comments section. Would you, and just put the name of these players as to what you would say is worth keeping. So there is 7 players at Manchester United, all out of contract from the end of this season. Sorry, they've got 1 year left on their contract at the end of this season. So effectively, going into 2027, a couple of these might actually have extra years on top or triggered years. So just look at it this way. But because this summer is going to be decision time on a lot of these players, do you move them on because this is the last year that you can get value for them, or do you keep them and allow them to go for free? These players are Bruno Fernandes, as we know, Kobbie Mainoo. Bruno and Kobbie, I think, have extended options, by the way. Bruno, Kobbie, Luke Shaw, Altay Bayndeh, Toby Collier, Harry Mas, Lisandro Martinez. I don't know about Lisandro Martinez having any extension or a triggered contract that's in there that the club can bring in if they need to extend by 1 more year. You usually do get that in modern contract negotiations with Manchester United. It's usually a 4-year with a 5 extended on top if the club want to do it. But out of these players, who do we realistically want to get rid of? And Andre Onana is also on that list as well. And again, that brings up my conversation that I want to have in a moment regarding the goalkeeping situation at United. But looking at them players there, Bruno, do we let him just see out his contract, or do we give him another maybe 2-year extension on top of the 27 so he goes to 29? And he turns out to be, 34, 35, sees out his years at Man United. That's the future for Bruno. Pretty much similar to Kevin De Bruyne. Leaves on a free. at the end of his contract, you max out on one of the best number 10s that there is in the world, rather than trying to find a replacement. Kobbie Mainoo is going to get his new deal. I think we can put that to bed. Luke Shaw, I think this is the end. I don't think he gets an extension. Don't. And look, don't get me wrong. Luke Shaw, if Luke Shaw starts every single game this season and then starts doing exactly the same next season, there might be a rolling year contract offer on the table for Luke Shaw. I'm still astounded at the fact that he has played so many games this season. I don't think it will, though. And I think Shaw will be one that's phased out at the end of next season. Bayndale will be gone. Toby Collier, I don't think has got a future at Manchester United. He's just picked up another injury on loan at Hull. He's gone to West Brom, got injured. He's gone to Hull, got injured. I feel sorry for the lad, I really do. But going on to 22 years old, he just needs to be released. I think if United can get $5 million for him or sell him cheap this summer, they will. I don't think Collier is going to last. Harry Mass is an interesting one. Obviously now at Norwich, another injury. Oh, God, I know. Had a great first half of the season at Sheffield Wednesday and has really started to shine at championship level, getting in that first team experience. Still young enough, still a teenager, so there might be a future there for a Mass. And when we're talking about Luke Shaw, could he be the automatic replacement coming in alongside another signing? Do you know what I mean? You've also got Diego Leon at left back, and Manchester United apparently are happy with his progress so far in when he came into the club this summer. Are we seeing a couple of younger players already being able to step up alongside another left-back signing to then allow Luke Shaw to leave Manchester United at the end of next season? Is there enough there? That's the question. Not at the moment, there isn't. You need Luke Shaw there as well. He's just as important as Dalot right now. And we can't even think about selling Luke Shaw this summer, I don't think. I think Luke Shaw will be a contract discussion. Maybe he just leaves on a free at the end of next season when he just hits his 30s. I think he'd be 31, I think. So, and Man United have got a couple of years to sort the left-back situation out with Luke Shaw still being there. That's how I sort of realistically see it. Lisandro Martinez is the biggest one on that list, I think. Because Man United have had to deal with injuries with Lisandro in all 3 of his seasons. And this, I think, is massive. One more year next year. It's his 4th year at the football club. And I do think that Manchester United then are looking... It's tough. I mean, what would you do with Lisandro? Injuries are scary. I've said it, I think, when he came back from injury this season. If he sees out this season with no issues, starts next season after a full pre-season and we've not got any repercussions, doesn't look like he has done at the moment. He's been talking recently, actually, about his career and thinking that his career was over after his last injury, which is scary mindset on its own, isn't it? But obviously, he's worked his way back again now. I think one more injury for him, I think everyone gives up. I think that's where we're at with him. Some people don't think that he is reliable enough now, to be honest. And again, decision needs to be made by Manchester United. And I think this is why we're hearing about all of the centre-back talk in and around transfer rumours at Manchester United. That needs to be brought up, and the concerns of the players that we've actually got and their injury records as well. So, again, I'm not sure with any of them players, apart from the likes of Kobbie Mainoo, Bruno Fernandes. I think the club would want to keep both of them players. And if it's working under Michael Carrick and Carrick stays, someone actually came out with a comment yesterday. I've seen a story floating around that Kobbie Mainoo, very similar to Bruno Fernandes, would look elsewhere if Michael Carrick wasn't the permanent manager going into next season. I can't fully see that or believe that. I can understand players get a little bit, I say, sort of sidetracked, a bit disgruntled because they constantly have to work under different coaches. They want a little bit of stability. I don't think they're holding the club to ransom like some of these reports are saying, no. But yeah, I mean, any of them 7 that you think just sell, get rid of, is it time? Talk to me, everybody. And again, I think there is extensions to Kobbie's and Bruno's contracts to go to 2028 also. So no drama, although I do expect Kobbie Mainoo to sign a new deal. Shaw and Martinez, I think, are the interesting ones. Harry Mass, I think, will get a new deal. I don't think Collier will. He'll be let go. Baindy is obviously going to go. And Arne is obviously going to go. Let me know what you think on them, please. Steve says Mount can go as well. Martinez, you have to look beyond liking his attitude. Some of his defending is abysmally bad. Philip says time to let the likes of Shaw go. This has been United's problem for the last 8 years. We have kept old players for too long a time for a new United. I mean, it is what a lot of people have brought up. And if we're winning, obviously no one talks about it. But as soon as we lose, again, and that's predominantly what we have been doing, isn't it, the last few years? That's been the issue. That has been the issue at Manchester United. The results on the pitch haven't given us enough confidence in these players to actually give them a case and back them. Like right now, it's easy to say there's a case for Martinez because he's playing well. But we do have to remember as well that injury record and some of his performances haven't been great. But then you could say that for every single one of our defenders, Luke Shaw included, Maguire, obviously Yoro, Heron, Dalot as well. All of them have been found wanting over the last few years at Manchester United. So I think that's what you've got to look at. Chrissy says, can't sell half the players. If we make Champions League, we need a good bench. If we sell and replace, still won't have enough good players just to sell the ones not good enough. The thing with that is you need a good squad for the Champions League. You need to be sustainable in the Champions League to then start to create a plan going forward. I get what Chrissy's saying. I've said similar myself already in many videos this season that Maguire and Shaw need to probably be there next year. So too does Bruno, because you can't replace them players and expect to challenge on all fronts for the Champions League. If you do enough next season with good investment this summer and stay in the Champions League, then you can look past these players because you can invest more money. The more Champions League money that comes in, the more Manchester United are profitable and can invest into the transfer window. The more time we can give our academy players, the more games we can test our academy players in because we're playing more each season. Season in, season out of the Champions League causes the problem that we've got right now, which is stop-start, not knowing what player is going to be able to consistently perform at Manchester United and really give us a chance to judge them because we can't play them enough. We can't make our minds up realistically on Joshua Zirkzee at the moment because he's never going to get in the team. He's never going to get in the team. And he's now going to be 2 years into his contract and he's hardly played a half a season in either of them 2 seasons. That tells you from the training ground the coaches don't believe in him. Sometimes someone can go out on the pitch and do something and give you a little bit of something to hold on to and think, oh, this player can do something. But we're not in that position right now at Manchester United. We're not consistent enough. Keep liking the video as well, everybody. Pop them likes on there. We're almost at 100 likes already this morning, which is fantastic. Into Tuesday, less than a week to go before Man United play competitive football again. It's great, isn't it? I think the players come back to training tomorrow. Michael Carrick's press conference Friday ahead of Everton. This is weird, isn't it? It's so weird. Like the wait and not having any games. And this week it's like, I think it's Champions League and Europa League playoffs this week, isn't it? To get into the round of 16. So there's not even that many games this week of relevance, really, or really important games. So it's interesting and it's weird. All right. Let's see. Shaw, Martinez replacement after next injury. Shaw, technically brilliant, just slow. Mainu is interesting. If we buy 2 or 3 central midfielders, will Kobe still be starting still? This is the thing, isn't it? Do they see Kobe as a big part of this now and only go out and buy 2 midfielders? And maybe then you would look to some of the academy players coming up, stepping up. Is that how United are looking at it? It's all a bit of guessing at the moment as to how Manchester United see this summer. We all know what we need. We all know what Manchester United are lacking. But Man United are always looking at it differently. Obviously, they know more because they've got the inside track and they're always going to know a lot more with what's going on with players than what we do. But we judge it off performances. And I'm sorry, we've got a lot in our favour when it comes to arguing against some of these squad players because the last decade has been inconsistently bad. So we have got that argument there. Look, I don't care how players are training. I don't care their attitude. I don't care if they are good for the football club behind the scenes. If we don't win games, it doesn't matter. Simple as. I mentioned 2 goalkeepers on that list there in Bayende and Andre Onana. United looking to move both on. in this summer transfer window, of course, and the future of Tom Heaton as well. Let's not forget about him. He's turning 40 and hasn't played a game for, what I can remember, 8 years or something. Still at the football club. United actually considering offering Tom Heaton another deal. Radek Vitek is the one I want to talk about right now, because Manchester United have been in this situation before with Kovar, and we sold him for just under 8 million. They could double that in terms of value for Radek Vitek in terms of what Man United, and probably get some more on top of that. The value of the player and the way that he's performed for Bristol City this season has put him up there as a very, very valuable asset to Manchester United. Let's not forget, this is an academy player. This is 100% pure profit. And United could get as much as, I feel, 20, 25 million for Vitek now. Cash in, use that money elsewhere. He's never played in the Premier League. He's never featured for Manchester United in a competitive game. And we could get 25 million for him. Or do United actually do what we should be doing and bringing in our academy players that are good enough to this squad? And you can get rid of Andre Onana, you can get rid of Altay Bayinde this summer and not have to worry about replacement, because Vitek is better than both of them goalkeepers. And at the moment, it looks like he is, because he's playing at a level which is competitive ahead of both of them players. I don't care about Trabzonspor. I think the Championship's better than the Turkish Premier League. I do. And Bayinde is not playing. Vitek on the bench for Manchester United behind Senna Lammens is a decade's worth of stability for Man United. Whether Vitek's happy with that and wants to be second fiddle to Lammens is probably the only conversation that's going to be had, I think, this summer. Because when it comes to needing to sell or bring him in, I'm sorry, I'm going to put everything that I've got in terms of what we owe on Onana and Bayinde, sell them as cheap as we can just to get them both out of the football club, and bring Vitek in to Manchester United. We've got Lammens, we've got Vitek, and I'm sure Manchester United, the likes of Eli Harrison and other goalkeepers coming through the ranks, are good enough to be there in an emergency situation for Manchester United. They're better than Bayinde and Onana. I think that's what we can safely say. Vitek's gathered that experience now in Belgium. He's gathered that experience in the Championship this season. He is ready to step up to Manchester United as a number 2, 100% certain. And you know what? He will get games for United next season if we're in the Champions League. I'm not saying he's going to play the Champions League, but like the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, he's going to get games. And if there is that moment when Senna Lammens drops or gets up and picks up an injury or anything like that, you've got a more than adequate number 2 to come in. And that's what every single club above us has pretty much got right now. And that goes to show what you need to be there and be consistently up there in the Premier League. You need to have 2 players of quality in each position. And City, Arsenal, Liverpool used to have it. They've still got it a bit in the goalkeeping department, but I preferred Kelleher to... I can't remember his bloody name, the crazy name goalkeeper. Yeah, it'll come to me in a bit, but you know what I mean anyway. 2 goalkeepers, 2 adequate, experienced goalkeepers. I think Manchester United are, goalkeeper-wise, in a stronger position than most of our rivals right now, because you've got some aging goalkeepers above us as well. So I think United's future is looking bright in the goalkeeping department right now, and I'm bringing Vitek into the squad. I'm not selling him for anything. I think Manchester United need to look at that situation and go, you can get rid of the wages of Bayinde and Onana, maybe scrape together 10 million for both of them. I don't care, and still draw even and bring in Vitek, who's on hardly anything, and he was better than both of them goalkeepers. Sorted. The conversation is there at the moment on what Manchester United do, because there will be a temptation to sell Radek Vitek for pure profit, and United could make serious money on him. And we've spoken about what Man United do with academy players. If they're not going to come into the side or feature in the matchday squads, then we have to sell them on and make the profit where we can, like City, Chelsea, like Arsenal, and all the teams around us, Liverpool also doing this. It helps balance, and I don't like to say it because financial fair play really shouldn't be the reason behind academies bringing players through just so we can make money, but it is real, and that's the reality of the Premier League right now with our FFP rules. So it's there and it is being discussed, and there's stories about this actually, because he is going great guns this season, and he is a weapon for United. He's an absolute beast of a man as well. I think he's about 6'6", and he's built like a goalkeeper. Agile, brilliant distribution, and shot stopping of the highest quality. He's right up there. He's right up there, one of the best keepers in the Championship this season, and he's on United's books for nothing. Get him in that squad, and let's move forward. Get him in there, and let's move the other players out and start building something, is what I say. I think it makes sense. I don't want to sell him. I don't think United should. If we end up selling Vitek, I think it's through pure desperation. I think this fan base would be in uproar if we ended up selling Vitek. I really do. I don't think it's the right move to make at all. Anyway, keep your comments coming in, everybody. The show is almost at an end. Thank you, everyone who's been in with us. Thanks for all the likes. We are over 200 live likes. Really appreciate that, everyone. Let's get some more comments on this. Shaw gets ripped apart at the left back. Played well in a 3, but in a 4, he's been dreadful. I don't think he's been dreadful, mate. I don't think he's been that bad. Can't believe we played with Anana. What were we thinking? Exactly. Vitek will not want bench time. He will be loaned again or sold. I don't think he'll be loaned again, Graham. Not with a goalkeeping situation at United. He'll be brought in to Manchester United as a number 2, I think, next season. Discussions will be had. Bender and Anana are both gone. And there's a question mark on Heaton. United are not going to think that they can do that without having another goalkeeper in. And I don't think we've got the finances to go and buy another keeper. So Vitek will be brought in, I feel. I think he'll be brought into the matchday squad. You're right, you might not want that, but at this point, I think he still will get games for Manchester United next season. I do. And look, this is what all the big clubs do. I don't think James Trafford is happy right now. I don't think Kepa would like the game time that he's got right now. There's quite a few goalkeepers that have to realise that I don't want to say that they're destined to be number 2s, because I think Vitek will be a good number 1. And if he keeps progressing, I think he will be a top keeper. I just don't think Man United want to go out and buy another goalkeeper, is what I'm saying. Right, I'll wrap things up there. Thank you, everybody, for being part of the show. I love that. Great conversation again this morning. Get into the comment section when the live is finished and all the subjects and everything that we've spoken about in the show today. On the likes of Dalot, Jude Bellingham, if you want to, the goalkeeping situation, contractually, on the players that are out of contract next season as well, everyone. And, of course, the goalkeepers as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you all later on. Have a fantastic Tuesday, whatever you're up to. And I'll keep you posted on any other news that comes out throughout the day.